Completing the square. To complete the square, we just need to add b divided by 2 quantity squared. Then if we want to write it as a completed square, we write it as x plus or minus whatever it turns out to be, b over 2, and then that whole thing is squared, and that is written as our completed square. So let's do some examples of just completing the square. For this first one, we have x squared minus 8x, and then we need to figure out how to complete the square. So we're going to add b, which is negative 8 over 2 quantity squared. So if we were to write it now as a completed square, then what we need to do is we have our x is going to drop in, and then whatever is inside the parentheses, that b over 2, is going to drop in. So that's going to be negative 8 divided by 2 squared, and then we simplify that, x minus 4 squared is my final answer. And the next one, x squared minus 10x, then we're going to add negative 10 over 2 squared, and then if we were to write that, it would be x minus 10 over 2 quantity squared, and then I simplify, x minus 5 quantity squared. Final answer. For these next examples, we actually have one step that we have to do before that. Because we don't have a 1 coefficient, we cannot just add the b over 2. We need to start by factoring out. Need to factor first to get a 1 before the x squared, and then you can complete the square. So I'm going to factor out a 2 in this case. So when I factor out the 2, I have 2x squared minus 4x, and then my blank. So that's where I'm going to add. Now my b is actually going to be a negative 4. So negative 4 over 2 squared. And then my completed square is going to be 2 times x minus 4 over 2 quantity squared. And then I simplify 2x minus 2 quantity squared. So you need to start by factoring out. This next one, I have 5x squared minus 10x. So again, I need to factor out first because I need a 1 coefficient. So this time I'm going to factor out a 5 because that is my leading coefficient here. So I'm going to factor out the 5x squared minus 2x, and then that's where I'm going to add my negative 2 over 2, because remember my b is changing, squared. So I write it as my completed square, 5 times x minus 2 over 2 quantity squared, and I simplify 5x minus 1 quantity squared. And that is my final answer, my final completed square. So those are your notes on the basics of how to complete the square. Go through the practice problems and make sure that you can do this, and then you can prepare to learn how to solve problems by completing the square.